Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rebecca, otherwise known as Hip Knit Hooray Online, and today I'm going to be bringing to you a late summer knit pattern inspiration and roundup. So this video came about because I have my summer knitting plans which focused more on tops and tanks, but what I really want to be working on is, well, to be honest, what I want to be working on are my fall knitting plans, but there's still lots of summer left, and I found that a lot of the pieces that I was reaching for this year were a lot of layering pieces. So for example, my Cumulus tee, the 3/4 length, or the Lakes tee that I knit last year, that's kind of a more like woolly tee. I found that I was reaching for those two pieces to wear a lot on cooler days. So what I'm thinking that this inspiration video, the patterns that I'm going to be mentioning are perfect for are for those cooler summer mornings or evenings where you just want a light layer that kind of goes with everything that you can just throw on. I think it'd be perfect for lake days or beach days. I live by a lake, to be fair, but I don't have like a cottage or anything. So what I'm imagining I'm going to be wearing these pieces is when I'm on the balcony on cooler mornings or evenings. Many of the patterns also use plant-based yarn, or you could easily substitute with a plant-based yarn or a more warm weather appropriate fiber, or they're knit at such a fine gauge, maybe with a fingering weight yarn, that I think it, even if it is 100% wool, it still works when the weather is warmer outside. So for the roundup, I have broken out these patterns into 4 different categories. So maybe we can get started with the first one, which is lace yoke cardigans. And I wanted to include a lot of lace patterns in this inspiration video because I find that lace just really adds a lot of breathability. There's all the yarn overs and a lot of lace work, which I think just make the piece more comfortable. And a lot of the motifs that I've chosen in this category kind of remind me of summer landscapes. So the first one is the Field Cardigan by Camilia, and this is a cardigan knit with DK weight yarn on 4mm needles, and it's worked top down with a round yoke construction. The pattern suggests a fingering weight wool and mohair, which I think, again, is still appropriate for summer, but I saw a lot of patterns on Ravelry also used some chainette style yarn like Drop Sky, or a blown yarn like Concept by Katia, which are cotton blend yarn. So I think you could substitute for those fibers as well. And the lace around the yoke features this varying heights of a grain motif, which is achieved with yarn overs, small cables, and knit 3 together. So it looks like it would be a really fun knit. Sounds like you would probably need some sharper needles to work that lace work, and a cable needle, but it does look like a really fun process knit as well. It has a high crew neck, and the front button band is also worked as you knit the body, so less finishing work to do at the end. And something else about this cardigan is it has a cropped silhouette with a long 1x1 rib, which I think looks really elegant, especially over a dress or a tiered skirt. That cropped silhouette with that longer 1x1 rib just, looks really nice. The second pattern is the Wheat Cardigan by Claudia Quintanilla, and this is knit with DK weight on 4.5mm needles. This pattern also has a wheat themed motif. It has a lace motif which looks like stalks of wheat. There's eyelets mixed with pearl bumps at the top of the yoke of the cardigan. But this cardigan, compared to the Field Cardigan, is worked bottom up. And it's not really my preferred construction. I know people really like it, and I've seen a lot of designs by Claudia knit bottom up. And so I'm thinking that maybe that's just her preferred construction method. And also I think it has to be knit bottom up in order for the lace motif to be worked in that way, possibly. So in order to knit it bottom up, you have to knit the body and then the sleeve separately, and then you join them all together as you're knitting the yoke of the cardigan. But this cardigan, I think it's definitely worth it. The motif looks really beautiful. It also has a similar crop silhouette and fitted sleeves. So again, I think it works great as a layering piece on top of dresses and skirts in the summertime as well. The next pattern is the Noctua cardigan by Tete Beche Knitwear. And this pattern calls for fingering weight yarn on 3.75 millimeter needles. And the motif on this pattern, when I saw it, it first reminded me of the ranunculus, which is a quintessential summer knitting pattern. I haven't knit it before, but I know quite a few people have knit that pattern before. On second look, the motif does look a little bit different, but it does also have the eyelets and then the faux cable as well. The designer also has a sweater version of this pattern too, if you are looking for a sweater version called the Ilha. And I really love the look of the really dainty lace around the yoke. The pattern is knit top down, and there's the lace round yoke, but then there's also raglan increases as well before you split for the body and the sleeves. And yeah, as I mentioned, there's that intricate lace, but then there's also, I think, intricate design details, I guess, worked throughout the cardigan as well. There is a cable that runs down the sides of the body after you split for body and sleeves. And then the hem has this really cool texture stitch rather than 1x1 rib, which is something very different. I've never really seen that before, and I think it looks really nice with the rest of the texture on this cardigan. And yeah, I really love this design, and I would totally love to knit it, but I don't have the yarn in mind yet because I'm envisioning it in like a bright orange, like an electric orange or a light blue. So I need to get yarn in order to make this cardigan, because yeah, now that I have that vision in my head, I can't really see it in any other combination for myself. So there's that one. And then the last pattern in this category that I wanted to share is the Fleur cardigan by Carrie, Bostick, Hoge. And this is also a fingering weight pattern with 3.5 millimeter needles. It's knit top down, and there's a really short lace motif worked around the top of the yoke, and then also on the bottom of the sleeves. And I really love the garter finishing on this pattern. There's a garter button band, and then there's garter stitch on the hems as well. And there are 3 different sleeve lengths in the pattern, and I think it looks beautiful in all sleeve lengths. There's a short, a 3/4 length, and then a long version. And all the previous patterns that I mentioned in this category feature a crew neckline, a higher crew neckline. And I'm wondering if it's because of the round lace yoke construction. I guess you usually end up doing a crew neck. Maybe you can do a V-neck version, but yeah, all of them have been a crew neck, a higher crew neck, but this one has a very wide crew neckline, which I think is really comfortable. And I really like the lace work that's integrated throughout the cardigan as well, both on the chest and then on the sleeves as well. I just think it looks very timeless. It's very beautiful. And because it's knit with fingering weight wool, it's very comfortable for the summer months as well. And moving on to the next category is fingering weight layering shirts and sweaters. So the first pattern that I'm going to mention in this category, I may sound like a broken record, but apologies. I just felt like I had to include this pattern in this roundup and inspiration video because I would really recommend the pattern. I'm knitting my 3rd one, as you'll see in my next podcast episode. And so it's the Cumulus tee by Petite Knit. I just think that this one was kind of the inspiration for this video, but also for this category. So I've already mentioned it a few times, so I'm just going to touch on it briefly. Fingering weight on 3 millimeter needles. Suggested yarn is Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, and it's worked top down, a raglan construction, and a rounded V neckline. Petite Knit this summer came out with a O-neck version of the Cumulus tee, which I think you could modify the original Cumulus tee if you already have it, because I think it's the same gauge, it's just the neckline. But for my 3rd version, I think I'm gonna stick with the V-neck because I find that the V-neck, I like how it's a shallower V-neck, and I find it's just a little bit more comfortable to wear for warmer weather and warmer temperatures. The Cumulus tee also has a really nice fit along the shoulders. The raglan is a bit more of a wider raglan that starts a little bit wider out on your shoulders, so I think it really elongates your shoulders. It's a nice fitted raglan as well, so it's comfortable in the underarm. It really fits really nicely. I really like it. And the pattern features like an elbow length sleeve. It's still a tee, I would say, but yeah, it ends just above your elbow, but you can extend the sleeves. Many people have done it. I knit mine last year with an extended 3/4 length sleeve, and there's really neat finishing on the hems. It's just a simple 3-stitch I-cord bind off, so really just a nice clean finish. It's a really basic piece, and if you knit it in a neutral color, you can really layer it over anything, and it looks really nice. But yeah, enough about the Cumulus tee. I feel like I've talked about it too much, but I can't recommend that pattern enough. The second one in this category is the Flores by Eri Shimizu. And this is a designer that I've never heard of before, but I'm definitely going to keep an eye out on their designs because I thought that they were all so stunning when I saw them. So this one is fingering weight with 3.5mm needles. The suggested yarn is the Uncommon Thread Linum, which is 50% alpaca, 25% silk, and 25% linen, which I thought was a really unique and interesting fiber blend. I always like seeing patterns that have a linen component because I have some linen yarn that I got and I don't know what to knit with it. So this one isn't 100% linen like that one that I have in stash, but yeah, it's always nice to see that, and it is more comfortable for the summer. The sweater is worked top down. It has a raglan construction and it has this all over rib texture stitch. And something that's really unique about this design is it's actually reversible. So you can wear the rib pattern on both sides if you weave in all the ends of your project. I'm usually pretty good about weaving in all of my ends, but I do, especially if I need to join a lot of work, if there's some loose threads in the middle of my sweater or my top, I tend to just leave those. But yeah, if you weave in all of those ends very cleanly, then you can wear this sweater on both sides, which I think looks, it's really cool. It's almost like you get two sweaters in one. And the sweater pattern also features two different sleeve types. You can do a short sleeve version or a long sleeve 3/4 length version, and that one is more of a dolman style, I would say. Like the body is pretty loose, but then the sleeves, the 3/4 sleeves, are quite fitted. And normally I'm not the biggest fan of a dolman style sleeve. Yeah, I just don't find it's really my style, but this one I really like, maybe because of the textured stitch. But if I were to knit this pattern, I would do the 3/4 length or the 3/4 length sleeve because I really like that, the way that it looks, especially on the sample. And then the next pattern is the Dawe by Amy Miller. This is knit also with fingering weight yarn on 3.5mm needles, and I really love the high slit in this stockinette sweater. It's very similar, or it's similar in a way to my Frankie Genzer that I knit, where there is that long ribbed hem, and the Frankie Genzer is not as long as this one, but I have been wearing my Frankie Genzer a lot this summer, surprisingly, considering it is knit with 100% merino wool. But I would like to knit another version of that silhouette with a more summer appropriate fiber, and the Dawe I was really attracted to the Dawe design. So yes, it has a really deep side slit, and the way that the sweater is constructed is it's knit top down with a fitted drop shoulder construction, and the body of the sweater is actually worked completely flat. So you knit the back panel, then you knit the two front panels, and then you're working those all flat. And then you seam up the portion of the body that's in the round. You seam that up before you pick up stitches for the sleeve. When I was looking at that though, I know it's such a short section and maybe that's why it was worked flat. And then the seam also adds a little bit of structure, but I think I would probably maybe knit that section in the round, even though it is a shorter section. And then once it is time to do that split hem, then I would work it flat. And I think you could do that. But that's just a preference thing. And then after you finish the body, you knit the sleeves in the round, and then you also pick up stitches to work the collar at the end. And I just think that the finished fabric in fingering weight stockinette and that high slit is just really great as a summer layering piece. It's a really nice silhouette, and yeah, really breathable, and I think it would look really beautiful with some sort of blouse underneath, like a very white crisp blouse. I think that would be really stunning. And then the last pattern in this category that I wanted to talk about is a brand new pattern. It's the Market Henley by Claire Jackson, or Perfectly Knotted. This is a fingering weight pattern on 3.75 millimeter needles, and it's a top-down drop shoulder Henley knit in an all-over waffle stitch. And I've been wanting to knit a Henley for a while, and I'm thinking it might be this one because a lot of the Henleys that I've seen so far are knit with either like a DK or worsted weight gauge, and I was looking for a Henley that was knit in a fingering weight gauge because I think it is just more comfortable for everyday wear. And this one has that all-over waffle texture stitch. And so yes, it was just released at the time of me filming this video. I think it was just released 2 days ago, so brand new, just in time for a late summer knit. Henley neckline is just naturally more comfortable as there's changing temperatures because it's almost like an adjustable neckline, and the Market Henley has a crop silhouette and fitted sleeves, so I think pretty comfortable for the summer weather as well. And I really love the look of this Henley in both a simple solid color, but a lot of the tester versions I was seeing their Ravelry pages, and a lot of them worked the Henley in a variegated or speckled yarn, which I think looks really great. So if you do have some speckled or variegated fingering weight yarn on hand, I think that, yeah, you should strongly consider the Market Henley because I think it looks really stunning in that variegated yarn. I guess the waffle texture kind of blends all of the variegated colors together. It really just ties it all together. So yeah, something to consider if you have some variegated yarn. And the next category I wanted to talk about is all over lace or breezy cardigans, which is different from the first category, the lace yoke cardigans, because for this category, I was looking for patterns that had an all over lace stitch integrated throughout the cardigan. This all started because I saw the Bernardini cardigan by Deima Knitwear, which it's a really beautiful piece. Deima Knitwear is, if you're not aware, a made-to-order knit and crochet brand, but then they also have a few patterns. The Bernardini cardigan is unfortunately not a pattern that they have available. It's only made to order, and it's a crochet piece. So I posted on my story because I did a very deep Ravel research trying to find some knit patterns that will fit this look. But I also posted to my story to see if I was missing any of them. So thank you all for leaving some really helpful suggestions. And I think I found some really nice alternatives. I am really interested in knitting a cardigan kind of like this because I fell in love with the silhouette of the Bernardini cardigan, and I really like the lace or eyelet motifs. I think it's perfect as a bathing suit cover up, and it has the tie fronts, it has the higher neckline and straight loose sleeves, so I think it's still comfortable, but it's still breezy because of the lacework as well. So yeah, I'm trying to find a knit version and one that has a pattern available, but if not, I know that as it's a crochet pattern, I'm sure there's other crochet designs that you could find that look probably more similar to this, but yeah, I was looking for a knit version. So the first one is Fine Balance by Wool Addicts. This is a pattern knit with DK weight yarn on 4.5 millimeter needles, and the pattern features this all over lace design that's worked with eyelets, and they kind of look like little butterflies to me. I just think it's a really beautiful lace design, and this pattern is knit bottom up and features a drop shoulder construction. So you cast on stitches and you work the body and sleeves separately, and then you seam it all together. And in this pattern, there is I-cord ties similar to the Bernardini cardigan. It does have a little bit of a different neckline, but it is still pretty similar. And so I thought this could be a really nice alternative. There are some differences though, but I still think it has a similar look. The next one is more different. It's the Easy Spring cardigan by Easy as Knit, and this is knit on very large needles and has a pretty big gauge. But I just thought that it was really stunning. It looks really comfortable to wear as a layering piece. So It is knit with 4 strands of mohair, or you can knit it with 1 strand of drops air. So kind of a DK or light worsted weight gauge on 10mm needles. And it's worked top down with a circular yoke construction, and there's a garter eyelet stitch which is really wide because of the larger needle size. So I think super comfortable to wear. It's very airy, it's very lofty, and the pattern features balloon sleeves, which if I were to knit this pattern, I would probably modify those so they're a little bit more fitted and have a straighter silhouette. But I think the balloon sleeves really just create a really dramatic look. The next cardigan is the Cape May Lace Cardigan by Nancy Eisman. And this is a pattern knit with DK weight yarn on 5.5mm needles, and it's worked top down with a drop shoulder design. The pattern also features this all over eyelet lace pattern, and the bottom hems are worked with a section of stockinette and then a section of garter. I think that I've never really seen that done before, but I really like the look of the different textures integrated throughout the cardigan. The sleeves are more fitted and have a sleeve cap shape, so pretty comfortable, and the button band is picked up and worked at the end. And something that again was really unique about this piece is there's a 2-button detail at the top here, and I think if you wanted to modify this cardigan to make it kind of look like the Bernardini cardigan, you could have I-cord ties at the top instead of the button band, or you could just have maybe the 2 buttons at the top that connect like that and then omit the rest of the buttons. I think that would be a really cool look. And then the last pattern that I wanted to talk about in this category is the Ingrid cardigan by Gregoria Fibers. And I think this is the cardigan that I'm going to try to get to this summer, and I think it looks most similar to the Bernardini cardigan. So it's a lace and Aran weight held together on 5mm needles, and it's marketed as a winter cardigan, but I think I can substitute out a heavy DK or light worsted cotton blend yarn for this, so I think it'll still be okay. And yeah, I just think that this silhouette just looks the most similar. When I was looking at a knit alternative to the Bernardini cardigan stitch pattern, I thought that that garter lace stitch, similar to the Easy as Spring cardigan, those were the motifs that I thought looked the most similar to that crochet design. So I thought that this one, I'm already familiar with the way that this lace motif is worked because I knit the Ingrid top 2 years ago now. So I'm already familiar with Gregoria Fibers design and then that motif. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with this one. It's a top-down drop shoulder design. It has a pretty boxy body and less fitted sleeves, which again work really well if I'm trying to dupe the Bernardini cardigan. And to make it look like that, I would do some modifications, like I would do I-cord edges around the hem, and then I would do I-cord ties instead of the button band. But overall, I think I can create a similar look that's going to be my perfect bathing suit cover-up. And the last category that I want to talk about are boleros and sleeves. And to be honest, I'm still not 100% sure if they are something that I can totally pull off. When I think of boleros, I think of myself I was probably in like 6th grade, and I had a bright pink and a black bolero that I used to wear all the time, and I thought I looked so cool. I wore like my bright pink bolero to like my school dance, and I haven't thought of boleros since then until they started becoming trendy again. And I think that they would be great as a summer layering piece. I think they're super cute. They look great over dresses, and they're a way to keep your shoulder and your arms warm, but since there's no body, the body's gone, it's still really breezy and comfortable for the summer. So there are quite a few bolero patterns that I'm thinking of knitting, and they're, I think, a pretty quick process to knit as well. So even if I knit one and I don't end up wearing it, it would still be nice to at least try and experiment with it in my wardrobe. So the first one is the Barco Bolero by Anne-Sophie Sorensen. I first saw this pattern a few months ago now through a reel that the designer posted wearing the Barco Bolero and the Barco top, and I was completely obsessed with it. She knit it in a bright lime color, both of the top and the bolero, and it looked really, really stunning. The bolero is knit with fingering and lace weight yarn on 4.5mm needles, and it's worked top down in stockinette stitch. There's a really wide boat neckline and pretty loose sleeves. And it looks like there may be short rows actually integrated into the front of the bolero to get that curved hem. I was honestly thinking of hacking my blouse number 1 pattern, which I already have, and making it a bolero just by knitting it more cropped. But once I saw that there were short rows in this pattern, I'm wondering that it may be more difficult to hack it and just worth it to get this pattern. So I am thinking about it, and I really like the look of this simple stockinette version. The second one is very dramatic. It's the Kokomo Sleeves by Pop Knit. It's knit with fingering and fingering weight yarn held together, so 2 strands of fingering on 8mm needles, and the suggested yarn is an alpaca yarn. So I think similar to the Easiest Spring Cardigan, it's going to create a really fluffy and airy texture. And this one has an all over mesh lace stitch, which is quite fitted around the chest, but has these really wide dramatic sleeves. The Kokomo sleeves are definitely a statement piece, and honestly not something that I think I could fully pull off. I don't know. That's definitely subjective. I don't know if I have the confidence, but I wanted to include it in this pattern inspiration video because if you're looking for a fun statement bolero, the Kokomo sleeves are definitely it. And if you wanted something that was a little bit more simple, I have the next 2 patterns, which are ribbed versions of Boleros and Sleeves. So the third pattern I wanted to talk about is the ribbed sleeves by Wool & Beyond. This is a worsted weight pattern on 4mm needles, and it's a sideways construction, so you're knitting it from sleeve hem to sleeve hem. And I thought that it was really cool. It's a really cool process knit. This was a goal that I had in 2024 to knit a sideways construction, and I have yet to do it, so that's why I was looking at the rib sleeves. There's a decorative hem as well on all of the hems on the sleeve, where you pick up stitches and you create this ridge detail for both the sleeves and the neckline. And then there's also an I-cord edge along the bottom of the bolero as well. So really simple, clean finishing on this one, and it just looks like a really basic piece. I saw one that was a bright pink and a bright green one, and I love the look of those. So I think if I were to knit the rib sleeves, because it's such a simple, more classic texture, I think it would be fun to play around with color for that one. And then the last pattern in this category and in this inspiration video is the Shrug It Off by Friday Knits. So this is the shrug that definitely reminds me of those middle school boleros or shrugs that I used to wear, but I think it's really cute now to throw on over a dress. It's knit with DK weight yarn on 4mm needles. The suggested yarn is We Are Knitters, the Baby Alpaca. I think if I were to knit this though, I would try to find like a merino that has a little bit more elasticity because of the rib. But I assume that an alpaca yarn also works because that's what the designer used. The shrug is also knit top down and has a raglan style construction, so it's very familiar to many knitters. If you've knit a raglan style sweater like this, it just has a super cropped body. And I really love the look of it. And if I didn't already mention, it is a free pattern. Phoebe has kindly offered it for free on her blog, and then there's also a video tutorial. So if you're looking for a bolero where there would be a step-by-step guide and a more detailed tutorial like that, definitely check out this pattern. And so that was everything I wanted to mention in this video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much if you reached this point in the video. I hope that it's not too late to consider casting on a few of these projects as a late summer knitting plan. It is cooler in Toronto the last few days, but I do think that summer is far from over, and I do want to try. My goal was to knit one pattern from each of these categories. I don't know if I'm going to get to it anymore, but I'm thinking definitely the Ingrid cardigan, the Cumulus tee, and then maybe a bolero. I'll try to get to all of those before I am thinking about my fall knitting plans. So yeah, let me know down below if any of these patterns you're thinking of casting on, if you have any other patterns that you think fit well in this late summer knits category. Please let me know down below. I'm still looking for some more Bernardini dupes, but then also anything that would fit in these categories, just let me know down below. And so until I see you in my next video, happy knitting.